Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to 22 Panels, episode 208, the end of our fourth season. Though
Incredible.
technically our first,
So
you
is
know
this a
what?
this is a
No, it
finale?
shouldn't be because we had a leap year.
Oh, there we go. Time foiling us once again.
Cause like 10 or 11, 14, I was just looking at it recently.
mhm.
Our first episode was
November 13th.
November 13th.
The
So,
double up on
so,
anniversary for me.
so yeah, we'll call this the penultimate. We'll make 210 the beginning
That makes
of
sense.
season
Season five.
five. Right.
Wow. Astounding.
Uh, so yeah, 22 panels, episode 208. The actual penultimate issue episode of season four. We jumped the gun last week.
hmm
Uh, we realized here on the air for your listening pleasure, across the internet webs is Bill. And
Hey,
today we will dissect the form of comics, or at least talk about the comics that made us further dissect the form. But
got your 2D scalpel ready, sir?
I mean, maybe. Um, but first we should take a look at some news.
Yeah, it
I'm gonna
was definitely
start.
a
I'm
it was a
I'm I'm
busy
gonna
week.
I'm gonna start with my Dodgers. I'm thinking of them as my Dodgers right now because I've been rooting for them so hard.
Mhm.
Ironically, I would like completely be happy if Toronto won, but this is where my phantom is these days. Thank you, Craig Calcaterra, for writing a book on rethinking fandom that turned out to be a lot of things that I was already kind of towards myself,
Hmm.
but that makes sense. Not just because like he and I have always had some similar thoughts on baseball, but also because like I had been reading his blog since he was still a lawyer and not a professional baseball writer. So like we probably got there kind of together.
You tagged
And
along on the
and
journey
and
and he
and
never
he
knew.
and he probably was among the major influences on how I
So if you had to boil down the thesis of that book as tightly as you can, what would it be of I have to imagine that it influenced more than just your thoughts on baseball.
um yeah, I mean essentially that like fandom's supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like do what's fun for you. And you don't actually have to like live and die with your stuff, or you like if you appreciate a sport, you can appreciate it even when it's teams that are rivals of your teams. It's like
Yeah.
in a lot of ways it's like another way of putting it, and like I haven't read it in a while. I need to reread it. Um But another way of putting it would be mindful of your fandom. Be
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
aware of like what you feel and why,
Oh yeah. That's a big one for me too.
and you have control over that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I
Eh,
mean, I will be the first one to admit that like both the Red Sox and the Cubs winning their World Series made it way easier for me to become much more of a baseball fan and much less of a team fan.
you
Um,
felt like those
be,
sort of
be,
missing links were filled.
right. The quest had been accomplished.
Yes. Yes.
Um, but like also, it was made way easier by the fact that as we become more and more polarized by a nation, baseball teams are owned by billionaires, and many
Hmm.
of the white millionaires that play baseball go figure are awfully conservative.
Yeah.
So like um it's easier to distance yourself from both teams and players in a lot of ways when some of them you outright dislike when they
Hmm.
open their mouths off the field.
Woof.
Um,
Yeah.
so but the game itself is still just beautiful.
Yeah.
Uh, and Otani is a force to behold. Um, and credit to Manga for him deciding to like be what he is. So,
Wow.
and is apparently a rabid manga reader. It's like he's got his iPad with his Shonen Jump and Viz apps and whatnot in the dugout, or
That's
not the dugout,
incredible.
the clubhouse. Like
Yeah.
he can most commonly be found reading manga like when he's relaxing in the clubhouse. Um, from all reports anyway. So like the fact that the baseball player that most um uh, resembles a comic book superhero
Oh yeah. Holy cow.
it
He
is
does.
actually a fan of comics.
Oh wow.
Like just makes it that much easier to love him.
So this is I am now imagining a dream episode where you get to talk
Oh
Shonen
God.
baseball
Yes.
comics with
Yes.
Otai.
With Otani,
Yeah, Otani, myself.
I would talk any
Apologies.
comics.
Yeah, yeah.
It
It's
wouldn't have to be baseball comics. I mean, Major would have to come up because like,
sure.
and I'd have to go read more of it,
Right,
which
right.
is difficult because it's not in print in the United States, which doesn't mean it's
Mm,
impossible, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. If
um,
only we Americans had better taste.
right, right. Um, but this is also the point to point out for everybody. Uh, I sent out the first round of invites, and I'm certain there will be more. But in case there happens to be anybody listening, the 22 panels baseball and comics roundtable for 2025 has been scheduled for November 18th. Come one, come all. If I haven't sent you an email and you want to be involved and you love baseball and comics, you can email me at 22panelspodcast@gmail.com. If I know you already, you will be immediately added to the list. But as Phil can attest, even if I don't know you, that doesn't um, guarantee whatsoever that I wouldn't be willing to include you in our festivities.
Intrepid listener, if you have
It's
not talked to us yet, but you would like to, now's your chance.
right. Uh yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite 22 panels things of the year is the baseball and comics roundtable, of which this will be our fourth.
Heck yeah.
Um, yeah. So moving on, Fantagraphics in its 50th year announces a new imprint, Takumi Graphics,
That's
um,
exciting, yeah.
where they will do East Asian comics. They've already been printing East Asian comics from is it just in their main line for at least a decade now, maybe a couple. But they're now going to have an imprint that focuses exclusively. They've got four titles lined up for next year. I think next year's are all manga, but they have they emphasize East Asian because while they're starting in Japan, they want to go to Korea, to China, to the Philippines. Um,
That was a question I was thinking of the emphasis seems intentionally broad
mhm,
to be more than
mhm.
just a manga imprint. So yeah,
Right,
it'd be so
right,
cool to see comics from all of the region around there.
right. Um, and that's one of the things that I love about Fantagraphics already is that like they bring us European comics, they bring us occasionally South American comics. They even had a fantastic anthology of Brazilian comics a couple of years ago. Um,
I do remember hearing about that. That sounded super
right,
cool.
right. Braba was the name of it.
Mm.
Um, So that they're already an imprint that actively seeks out, or not an imprint, a publisher that actively seeks out comics from around the world. Um, so it's exciting to know that they're going to put uh or have theoretically a group of people putting a greater emphasis on the East Asian market. So yeah, what kind of week has it been? Holy shit.
Yeah. Oof.
So at least for the moment, federal courts have ordered the Trump administration to disperse the funds that Congress set aside for SNAP to SNAP, and people will not um, start going hungry today.
That'd be great if we could do that.
It will be great if that continues to hold up. This administration being this administration, I expect it to be um,
Not great, bad.
well, no,
Uh,
I expect it to be appealed.
I see. Okay.
So like we'll see how all sorts of things happen there. I do want to point out for anybody who is unaware that like whatever the Trump administration says about the legality of continuing to fund SNAP during the shutdown, first of all, they made the opposite decision on WIC just like 2 weeks ago.
Mm,
So they could use the same law that allowed them to continue funding WIC to fund SNAP. And this isn't even just like I think they could. It has happened in every other government shutdown ever.
wow.
So,
Wow.
and just way too many of the Republicans are saying the quiet part out loud and saying that
Hmm.
they want to.
I mean, they want poor people to die. I think that's
Well,
pretty
no,
clear
they
at this
they
point.
they, they want Americans to feel pain and blame Democrats.
Well, I mean, oh, is it? I
Um,
sigh at that so hard because I mean, it's
I
yeah.
mean, before we get into, actually, I'm gonna uh we're gonna as we so often do um Heather Cox Richardson has us
Mm,
um from last night's Letters from an American.
hmm.
um why what
Google is failing us, but this is the series of reportage where she tracks everything that happens each day
yeah
in America.
yeah
Yeah.
yeah yeah Heather Cox Richardson is a um historian by trade, but like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago now, I forget exactly when. She started on Facebook and eventually moved it to Substack. Just collecting the news of the day that she thought historians would need in the future, to make certain that there was a record somewhere for future historians to. But I appreciated and like she was kind enough not to identify um the news outlet that answered or that asked this question, though I'm certain I could figure it out if I went through her citations.
Hmm.
But Representative Joe Neguse of Colorado was asked yesterday if we come to November 1st and these contingency funds haven't been released, if nothing has been accomplished in restoring SNAP benefits, will you call on your Democratic colleagues to reopen the government and deal with these shutdown crises immediately? Neguse answered that, in my view, or I'm sorry, the basis for your question is, and maybe the better way to state it would be, if the Trump administration continues to violate law, if the Trump administration unlawfully refuses to release funds so that families in Colorado don't go hungry, if the Trump administration refuses to follow the law as they have for the better course of the last 9 months, violating statute after statute, if in that scenario these actions unfold, then how will Democrats respond? And that, in my view, would be a more fair characterization of the question that you've posed, because it does feel a little bit like we're in the twilight zone here with an administration that is lawless, violates the law with impunity, is now doing so with respect to the release of funds for families that may go hungry. We're here in Washington. You're in Washington. House Republicans are gone. 6 weeks and counting, gone. Literally gone. Won't show up in Washington. Won't do town halls back in their respective districts. And somehow the question is posed to House Democrats as to how will we respond? The Trump administration needs to follow the law. You've heard all my colleagues repeatedly suggest we would like to negotiate agreement in good faith with our Republican colleagues. That is why we're here in our nation's capital. The question should be posed to Republicans. When will they get serious about working with us in good faith so that we can reach an agreement? With the fact that Republicans could have just simply abandoned their post for 6 weeks, that the Trump administration could just violate the law without consequences, it should have offend everyone. It certainly offends me. So,
Yep. So
yeah,
that was thankfully
I
a
mean,
great.
best case, the question came from real media, and it represents the fact that the Republicans are assumed to be bad actors, but we
Mhm.
try to treat them as equals in the media.
Yeah.
And Democrats are assumed to be the responsible parties
Uh-huh.
and therefore get the actual questions in media.
Yeah. It's a broken ecosystem for sure. It's
Um,
just
but it's just
oof.
as likely that it was, some right wing. I
Yep.
mean, anybody who's watched a White House press conference lately knows that there's an awful lot of
Are they still throwing people out of those?
well, they don't have to anymore because most of the
No.
questions start with Mr. President, thank you so much for protecting us
Ugh.
from
It's downright nauseating.
um yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where we're at. On the flip side, across the pond, Andrew Windsor, and I call him Andrew Windsor because he was stripped of all of his titles and evicted from his residence.
So this is
Uh,
he is now former Prince Andrew?
yes, he'd
Wow.
already been former Duke, but now he's former everything. He's just Andrew
Wow.
Montbank Windsor and homeless. I mean, probably not actually homeless, but you know what I
Yeah.
mean. Um, uh,
Between
which,
residencies.
which, given that, um, his connections to Mr. Epstein are
Hmm.
are not new news,
Hmm.
um, indicates in a lot of ways that there's way worse on him than has been reported already, and
Yeah.
his brother is trying to be out in front of it rather
Wow.
than reacting to it. This is where I will point out that our president was also a good friend of Jeffrey Epstein,
Even wrote him a birthday card.
and 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 one of the reasons that the House Republicans have continued to vacation is because if the House were to come back into session, they would have to um, seat Adelita Grijalva from um, Arizona, who has been elected to the House of Representatives, but not sworn in yet
Hmm.
because the House has not been in session, but who would also add her name to the discharge position petition to force a vote on whether or not to demand release of the Epstein files, which would be expected or is expected, should it occur, to pass overwhelmingly. Um, so
So I guess
yeah,
so.
House
Here's.
Republicans are going the other way
Hmm.
from Prince Charles rather than
Wow.
getting out in front of the grenade. They're desperately, desperately trying to fall on top of it. Um, Meanwhile, their dear leader, this week bumbled his way through Asia and redesigned the Lincoln bathroom.
Was this time is kind of blurring together for me? Was this the week that he was also complaining about a very difficult IQ test that he was given that
Oh
people
yeah. Oh yeah.
people
You mean
point out like,
the
oh, that's like,
Montreal Mini Mental?
yeah, that's like
That
a
like a
cognitive.
perfect score. A
Yes.
perfect score means that you're like it means that you can compete with the average kindergartner. It's not designed to it's not designed
It's there to
to
test
um
coherence, not
yeah,
not
it's not
actual
designed to test your
intelligence.
intelligence. It's designed to figure out whether or not you need
Can
to
you be
be
trusted behind the wheel of a vehicle?
well, and whether or not you need significantly enhanced care because
Yeah.
your
Oh,
brain isn't working anymore.
yep.
Um,
This is the oof.
and again, it's not actually hard to game it.
The game the test or
Yeah, like
yeah,
if
no,
the
I saw
doctor
it.
wants you to pass, the doctor can make you pass.
Oh, you mean they can say, sir, that's not a giraffe, that's a camel?
Well, I mean, that's not the type of thing, but like one of the things that bothers me the most about like he always used to quote over and over, man,
Hmm.
woman, television, like the four items are supposed to be completely um different
Hmm.
a, and ideally without any strong tie to the person. So, like,
Hmm.
more common would be like sock, table, blue,
Hmm.
and squirrel. One of
Interesting.
them is an article of clothing, one of them is a piece of furniture, one of them
Hmm.
is a color, one of
Hmm.
them is an animal, right? And those cues can be given to you when it gets to the point where you're doing that. The other thing is like I know from experience, some doctors misdo that thing where they'll just, okay, hold those things in your head, and they'll like
Hmm.
wait a minute, 2 minutes, whatever, and then ask you to give them to you. Whereas
Wow.
again, the proper giving of the test would be I give you those four things at the beginning of our discussion, and then we do most of the discussion. I ask you
Hmm.
about who's the president. Who's the president would not be a good question for him. He hopefully knows.
Oh,
Um, what's the date?
he answers Putin.
Right. Um, And then I ask you, remember at the beginning, I gave you four things. Can you tell me those? And like technically to pass, you don't even need to immediately be able to tell them.
Hmm.
Um, the question is, can you tell them after the first cue?
Wow.
It's still a perfect score if like you're having trouble and I say one of them is a piece of clothing and you say sock. One of
Wow.
them is
Furniture, table.
right.
Holy crap.
So like the test he's describing the mere fact that he's describing it publicly as an IQ test is at the very least a serious sign of his own low IQ.
Hmm. Or
Uh,
aggressively advanced dementia, possibly both. Um, they're competing with each other
right,
at the moment.
right, right. Um, so
Yeah.
welcome to. But apparently, the Lincoln bathroom now has marble floors, which he thinks is much more period appropriate than the green tiles that were put in the 50s.
Yeah.
Also, gold fixtures, of course.
It's gonna be so gaudy. It's one of those things where if there's one thing I know about him, he has terrible taste.
I mean, I think there are pictures out there because we found out about this when he was um, truthing it out.
Ugh.
Again, as like the government was shut down and people were getting ready to go hungry, he
Mm.
was talking about how he
Building,
how
rebuilding.
he remodeled the Lincoln bathroom.
Woof. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That is the President of the United States, everybody. Let us
Please, please.
talk about some due to order
Now more
comics.
than ever, we need comics.
I'm gonna start with I'm so excited for this. Babs, the Black Road South. Did you read Babs? Babs is
I
so
know I should. I
oh
mean,
yeah,
it sounds
yeah, yeah.
hilarious.
It's Garth Ennis and Jason Burrows like
I do enjoy
uh
Ennis and Burroughs is
I'm
great.
actually gonna call it and hopefully I won't have anybody who has more right to say this disagree with me, but I will say feminist subversive um uh, uh pastiche of sword and sorcery books.
Okay.
Um,
You have me
so
even more intrigued.
Babs is sharp, subversive, hilarious, and absolutely one of the best comics of 2024, says CBR. And now the hit Ennis Burroughs sword and sorcery satire returns. A day of over-the-top carnage in a gladiator arena leads Babs and her partner in barbarism, Izzy, directly into a strange, unfamiliar, bizarre situation. They actually have money. That's good, right? Wrong, because it's about to lead them down a dark, horrific road to the devastated wasteland of Morden. In stores on January 14th
From Ahoy.
from Ahoy.
All right. This is where I'll say I had no idea what this book was when I picked it. It is Club Zodiac, #1, from writer Caden Phoenix, artist Phineas Conrad, Maritza Gomez Cope, and Fanny Arteaga, from those
Ortega,
acclaimed
probably.
Ortega, my apologies, from acclaimed creator Caden Phoenix, visionary behind the groundbreaking Latina superhero universe A la Brava, comes her bold, new, all-ages saga of myth, magic, and destiny, raised in a world once ruled by the goddess Hecate. Three identical sisters, North, Dips, and Sept, flee their orphanage after a dire warning from their teacher, Miss Nix. Their mission, find Hecate and stop Medusa's uprising before it engulfs the kingdom of Illust. On the run, the triplets are saved by a mysterious lion named Lena, who joins their quest. But Lena hides a secret that could shatter everything. She's Hecate herself, and the girls she's protecting are her daughters. To defy a deadly prophecy, she's traded her life to the fates and now fights in the shadows to destroy the traitors threatening her world and her family. That is going to be in stores January 21st from this is Keenspot.
Yep. Night City #1 from Matt Kent and David Lapham. A legendary hero is caught between two worlds. By day, he soars as a symbol of hope, But the moment he falls asleep, he enters a universe devoid of heroes and he leads a mundane life. As the pressure of his dual universes mount, his heroic self begins to crack, pushing him toward a mental breakdown in a world that measures the loss of human life that occurs when he takes one night off. The weight of his responsibility becomes too much. Ultimately, he's left with a choice: embrace his extraordinary abilities or seek solace in the ordinary. Will he stand tall in a world that needs him or find peace in a simpler existence? This is from Dark Horse Comics and in stores on February 4th.
I just gotta say, from that cover is looking very different in Lapham's style, unless it was by a different artist. Cover, no,
No,
it says
that's
cover by Lapham. So that
and
is
and yes and no. I've seen that fits some of his superhero stuff.
okay. I didn't know he did superhero stuff.
Oh
That's
yeah, I mean he
well,
started out in the Valiant universe,
okay, okay, all right.
like the
This,
original Valiant universe.
right.
He's done some Batman work.
Okay. I mean, it sounds
Um,
great. Sounds absolutely great. Reminds me of Revolver, one of the other Matt Kindt books I've read. So yeah, I would definitely pick this up.
you know, yeah. It's-
Alrighty, next up, we've got Spirit of the Shadows. Embrace your fear. The Spirit of the Shadows draws near. From the darkest recesses within acclaimed cartoonist Nick Cagnetti and co-creator Daniel Ziegler comes the most visually stunning, outrageously otherworldly, and hauntingly heartfelt superhero horror hit of 2026. Once Eric LaRue was a mortal musician, selflessly devoted to his music and his true love. Katerina, until his sudden death plunged his soul into the carnival like torments of the spirit world beyond our own. Now reborn as a phantom with fleeting memories of his life among the living, and forever cursed to bear the arcane costume his corpse wore to the grave, Eric will claw his way back from the infernal plains to uncover the mysteries of his own life and avenge the dark sins that transformed him into the Spirit of Shadows. In stores, January 28th from Oni. This is Oni. All right.
some original graphic novels. Speaking of Fantagraphics, bringing us fantastic things from other lands. Quarto Maltese, Fable of Venice and Other Adventures. Artist Hugo Pratt's most famous creation, the indefatigable,
No, I think it's indefatigable.
yeah, sailor Quarto Maltese sails back to American readers after a far too long absence in Quarto Maltese, Fable of Venice, and Other Adventures. Quarto, a modern Ulysses whose wandering in the early decades of the 20th century take him to the most fascinating places on Earth, is a hard-luck, hard-driving, iconoclast anti-hero who values freedom and independence more than wealth and status. In Fable of Venice, a riddle from a deceased friend plunges Quarto into a phantasmagorical mystery thriller that zigzags between the solidity of dreams and the fluidity of reality. A frantic chase in 1921 Venice ensues, up twisting stairs and down tangled alleys as Quarto vies against Freemasons, occultists, budding fascists, and his friend, suddenly back from the dead, in a mad scramble to secure a mystical emerald that will open the doors of forbidden magic and unravel time and space itself. In addition, the collection of quintessential seafaring adventures also presents the Quarto Maltese classics, The Secret of Tristan Bantam, So Much for Gentlemen of Fortune, and The Seagull's Fault, making this book an exciting introduction to Pratt's work. In stars on January 14th from Fantagraphics. Yeah, Corto Maltese. I haven't read enough of it because it's been mostly out of print in the United States, but um, some of the most fantastic adventure comics ever. So,
Oh yeah, I definitely need to seek it out. Next up, we've got Cyber Phoenix from Andy Sato. In the near future, Dr. Yu Wong and her family, eager to use technology to enhance human evolution and adapt to the changing environment, have all vanished. Only the eldest daughter, Ling Hoi managed to escape with the help of her artificially intelligent mechanical pet, Ai. Despite
Desperate.
desperate, yes, desperate, she seeks out her aunt, Wang Yam, and the Mi Mountain Spirit Powder Academy and recruits her assistance in finding the rest of their family in stores January 28th from Nakayama Press.
Nakama Press,
Nakama Press, my apologies. I don't
a
know what my eyes are
subsidiary
doing this morning.
of Mad Cave.
Subsidiary of Mad Cave, Nakama
Yep.
Press.
Yep. uh Lab Press is releasing a bunch of books in January that had previously been distributed or previously solicited over at Diamond. I think some of them have seen the world, but I think this is particularly since so many of them are coming out at once. I
Mhm.
think that it's a case where like they're definitely having dealt with distribution issues with the demise of Diamond and trying to get caught up on what had been a more spread out publishing plan and suddenly became we have a lot of books on hand. Um, but that's speculation. Maybe they intended to bring them all out at once, but I think they've got like 5 books coming out through um, that I know have been solicited for a while, so I'm pretty certain that some of them are out in the wild, but I also haven't personally seen any in the wild, so I know that.
Mm.
So anyway, Super Science is from N. Alessandro K. and M.K. Perker. Super Science is a sci-fi comedy about a world where the limits of human imagination have become real. For 5 days, the entire sky over 12 spots across the globe turned purple. The result was in each location, professional engineers and scientists, as well as tinkerers, amateur inventors, and high school science teachers were able to create scientific and engineering breakthroughs in ways far surpassing the world's top scientific institutions. Our story starts 3 years later in Los Angeles, where a breed of actual superheroes and supervillains are emerging. Dealing with this new phenomenon is LAPD's new Mad Scientist division, including no nonsense Sergeant Esmeralda Villanueva and her idealistic young partner, Officer Jack Mantle. Other characters include manipulative industrialist Bert Montague and his lab assistant, Felicia Barry, perpetually unlucky Karen Katz, a former biology teacher who has turned herself into a human cat hybrid, Esmeralda's son Gabe, who might be the smartest teenager on the planet, nefarious supervillain Dr. Cornelius Overland, and his nemesis, bumbling superhero Gas Giant. The graphic novel follows up on Super Science Chapter Zero and ships in a gold foil stamped cloth slipcase.
Fancy.
Now,
Sounds very interesting. All right. Next up is Wallflower, a graphic novel from Yasmin Omar Atta. And that is from the author of the critically
but
acclaimed Naira. Oh, just so you scrolled up a little bit. And the
yeah,
Jinn comes a stunning graphic novel about a girl who must uncover the truth behind her strange visions. For as long as Marlena can remember, she has seen flowers growing on everyone she meets, personalized poppies and daisies and roses of every color that give away what their owners truly feel. Invisible to the rest of the world, the flowers have always felt too overwhelming, too much for Marlena to take in when they don't always match what their owner shows. She's long since given up convincing anyone else that they're there, until she meets Ash, a charming transfer student who can somehow see these mysterious flowers too. Unfortunately for Marlena, Ash wants nothing to do with her, but as their thorny connection blooms, so do hidden secrets buried years ago. In this stunning graphic novel where dreams are woven into reality and not everything is as it seems, Marlena and Ash must unfold the truth together no matter where it may lead. Going to be in stores January 13th from
Viking
goodness.
Books,
Viking Books.
subsidiary of Penguin.
Thank you. Yeah, that sounds really great.
It does.
And it's got this nice evocative cartoony style with overlapping flowers images. So yeah, I'm excited.
All right. Couple of collections. Uh, Anybody who's paid attention over the last year knows that I loved Star Trek Lore War from Christopher Cantwell, Colin Kelly, Jackson Lansing, Ryan North, and a a collection of artists like, well, we'll get into those in a second. Um, many great artists. So Lore War shows us a universe rebuilt in Lore's image. The crews of the Theseus and the Defiant are scattered across the universe with no memory of who they once were. Some even worship Lore as their god. Lore has won. His rule is absolute, but the Cisco remains. And there are forces who wish to remind him of his power. From Eisner nominated writers of Star Trek, Jackson Lanson and Colin Kelly, the critically acclaimed writer of Star Trek Defiant, Christopher Cantwell, and Eisner nominated writer of Shaq's Best Day, Ryan North, along with artists David Tinto and Derek Charm, and a whole slew of others, comes the next big Star Trek event. Uh, this this capped off like 3 years of Star Trek from Cantwell, Kelly, and Lansing, and was just uh, everything was outstanding. But Lore War was just a wonderful cap. So
Alrighty, and then we've got Tex Arcanum from Christopher Monfetti and illustrated by Miguel Martos. Um, Horror in the Heartland. Dark Horse Comics presents Tex Arcanum, a new horror miniseries that mashes unfamiliar mythologies and American identities into one new story. Television writer and producer Christopher Monfetti. America is a melting pot for the unknown. Ghosts and gods, angels and demons, horror stories and tall tales. They've traveled from across the globe to collide here in rural Heartland. Cowboy arcanist Avery Bell has spent a very long lifetime among them. When a centuries old land feud escalates into the supernatural, when two warring families threaten a low country apocalypse, only Bell can unearth the truth. That's going to be in stores from Dark Horse Books on sale March 10th, 2026.
new to order for the month of November, brought to you by the Nexus Vault, Laverne, Minnesota, 109 East Main Street. The Nexus Vault, Laverne at gmail.com. Congratulations, Tyler, on opening your new shop. And we can't wait to have you back. So, new comic series. Take it away, Phil.
All right, first up, we've got Archie's Valentine's Day Spectacular from Holly G, Stephen Butler, Lily Butler, Glenn Whitmore, and Jack Morelli from Archie Comics on January 14th.
Astro Quantum #1 from Andrea Moody and Arturo Fabra at Mad Cave on January 28th.
Babs, The Black Road South #1 from Garth Ennis, Jason Burrows at Ahoy Comics, January 14th.
Bloodland #1 from B. Clay Moore and Mark Chatter at Ignition on January 14th.
Club Zodiac #1 from Caden Phoenix, Phineas Conrad, Martia Gomez, and Fanny Arteaga at Keen Spot on November 21st.
That would be January 21st.
January 21st, my apologies.
And The Crown, A Tale of Hell #1 from Mike Mignola, Todd Mignola, and Warwick Johnson Cadwell at Dark Horse on February 11th.
Then there's Hannah and the Hells versus the Beatles from Sam Ashurst, Tony M. Clark from Floating World on February 11th.
Holy Brawl #1 from Athla Fabio at Keensport on January 14th.
Hank Howard, Pizza Detective, The Two Hollywoods, #1 from Robert Venditti, David Lapham, Bad Idea, January 7th. Don't forget, there's a 3D 1 in 50 variant issue.
3D Inside as well as Out. Inglorious X-Force #1 from Tim Seeley, Jordan Bloom, Michael St. Maria at Marvel on January 21st.
Then there's Iron Man #1 from Joshua Williamson, Carmen Carnero, Marvel Comics, January 28th.
Night City #1 from Matt Kint and David Lapham at Dark Horse on February 4th.
Love and Rockets Volume 1 #1 Replicant Edition from Gabriel Hernandez, Jaime
It's
Hernandez,
Gilbert Hernandez.
Gilbert Hernandez. I am so
Gilbert.
sorry. I don't know what I am looking at.
Gilberto.
Gilberto Hernandez, My thousand apologies. Jaime Hernandez, Fantagraphics, January 28th.
Luna Snow World Tour #1 from Greg Pak, Ario Anandito, and Takeshi Miyazawa at Marvel on January 14th.
Magic the Gathering, Untold Stories, Jace #1. Michael W. Conrad, Caitlin Yarsky, Dark Horse, February 4th.
Malevolent #1 from Justin Jordan, John Bivens, Felipe Sobrero at Image Comics on January 28th.
Mark Spector, Moon Knight #1 from Jed McKay, Dev Malia Pramanik at Marvel Comics, February 11th.
Otter Squad #1 from Matt Fife and Matt Rogers at Keenspot on January 28th.
The Planet-Sized Planet Death #1 from Robert Venditti, Derek Kolstad, Thomas Giarello, Bad Idea, January 7th, and that is in 11 by 17 trim.
Rogue #1 from Erica Schultz and Luigi Zagaria at Marvel on January 21st.
Psy, Dimensional Rivals #1 from Peach Momoko at Marvel Comics, January 14th.
The Shiver of Christmastown #1 from Torin Grombuck and Edu Mana at Dynamite on January 7th.
Spirit of the Shadows #1 from Nick Cagnetti, Daniel Ziegler, Oni, January 28th.
Continuing the newfound rekindled friendship between Marvel and DC, they're releasing facsimiles of a couple of Treasury editions featuring Superman and Spider-Man. First is the 50th anniversary Treasury edition of Superman versus Spider-Man by Jerry Conway, Ross Andrew, Neil Adams, and John Romita Sr. from DC Marvel on January 7th, followed by DC and Marvel present Superman and Spider-Man, the Marvel Treasury edition #28 from Jim Shooter and John Buscema from DC Marvel on February 4th.
Next up is Thundar the Barbarian from Jason Aaron, Cuber Ball, Dynamite, January 21st.
And finally, Where Does the Rainbow End #1 from Francesco Perillo and Stefano Cartacelli at Mad Cave on January 14th. Phil, let's talk some graphic novels.
Oh yeah, first up is Blood Honey by Sean Peacock at IDW Dark, February 3rd.
Breakthrough Life on the Brink from Christopher Fink at Fantagraphics Underground on January 28th.
A Brief History of a Long War, Ukraine's Fight Against Russian Domination from Mariam Naim, Yulia Vus, Ian Kip
Ivan.
Ivan, I'm so sorry, Ivan Kipibida from
Probably.
10 Speed, January 27th.
Cordo Maltese, Fable of Venice and Other Adventures from Hugo Pratt at Fantagraphics on January 14th.
Creatures and Corridors from Brandon Auman and Andrea Moody. Lab. Is that Action Lab or just Lab?
No, that's just Lab.
Just Lab on January 7th.
The Credits Roll into the Sea, Volume 1 from John Terrakeen at Dark Horse Manga on April 21st.
Cyber Phoenix by Andy Seto, Nakama Press Mad Cave, January 28th.
Essentials Volume 1 from Luke Arnold, Chris Doc Wyatt, Glenn Fabry, Jason Howard, Vince Locke, Brendan McCarthy, Andrea Moody, and M.K. Perker, and Danny at Lab Press on January 7th.
The Extraordinary Voyages, Volume 1 from Dennis Pierre Filippi, Silvio Camboni at Paper Cuts, January 14th.
The Girl Who Draws on Whales from Ariella Cristantina at Dark Horse on March 31st.
Followed by The Girl Who Raised the Dead, Kawashima Norikazu from Uncivilized, January 28th.
Hunger Niharikia from Joe Bacardo at Lab on January 7th.
I Can Sell You a Body, Ryan Ferrier, George Kimbadas, IDW Dark, January 27th.
Johnny Red, A Couple of Heroes from Garth Ennis and Keith Burns at Rebellion on January 7th.
Kanga You, Lost in a Labyrinth from Sholly Fish, Vancy Labat, DC Comics, March 3rd.
The Life and Death of Fritz the Cat from Robert Crumb at Fantagraphics on January 14th.
Luna Express from Campbell White at Top Shelf IDW, February 10th.
Mary Shelley from Alessandro Di Virgilio and Manuela Santoni at Mad Cave. Becca Gallo on January 14th.
My Soulmate by Wa Ki at Nakama Press Mad Cave, January 21st.
Nils, The Tree of Life from Jerome Hamann and Antoine Carrion at Magnetic Oni on January 21st.
Our Little Wild Time by Fred Noland from Fantagraphics Underground, January 28th.
The Pass from Catriona Chapman at Fantagraphics on January 21st.
Pigwife by Abby Luck at Top Shelf IDW on January 13th.
Pie Rats, Volume 1, Set Sail for Treasure, Alexis Vivallo at Paper Cuts on January 21st.
Pink Monsters by Klaus Daniel Herman at Oni Comics on May 27th.
Punk Taco Adventures from Adam Walenta, Makana Walenta, Kiolo Walenta, and Gabriel Mayorga at Paper Cuts on January 28th.
Serendipity from Gabby Benda, Holiday House, January 27th.
Super Science Volume 1 from N. Alessandro K. and M.K. Perker at Lab on January 7th.
Theodora's Letters, An Enslaved Woman's Fight for Family and Freedom by Marcelo de Salete at Fantagraphics on January 28th.
Tommy the Coward from Marco Sanseri, Roberto Laciello, and at Paper Cuts on January 14th.
Wallflower by Yasmin Omar Atta from Viking Penguin on January 14th.
White Shadows from Antoine Azanam and Antoine Carrion at Magnetic Oni on January 21st.
And then there's The Woodchipper by Joe Ullman at Drawn and Quarterly on February 11th.
Now for some collections, and a heck of a month of collections.
Starting out, we got Essentia from John Dolmayan, and Tony Parker, Blonde Wake Entertainment, January 7th.
Amazing Spider-Man, the classic newspaper strips, 1977, from Stan Lee and John Romita Sr. at Clover Press on February 25th.
Ancestral Recall by Jordan Clark, Adagun Ilhan at Ahoy Comics, April 15th.
Archie versus Minor Threats from Patton Oswalt, Jordan Blue, Timmy Haig, and Scott Koblish at Dark Horse on March 31st.
Batman Hush 2 from Jeff Loeb, Jim Lee, Scott Williams at DC Comics, March 31st.
The Beauty, Book 1 from Jeremy Hahn, Jason A. Hurley, Stephen Green, Brett Weldele, and Mike Huddleston at Ignition on January 20th.
Bronze Faces, Shobo Schaff, Alexandre Tefenki at Boom, March 31st.
Bitchcraft from Aaron Reese, Lemma Carroll at Mad Cave on January 21st.
Cemetery Kids Don't Die, Volume 2, Run Rabbit from Zach Thompson and Daniel Irizarry at Oni, May 13th.
Cold Witch, A Tale of the Shrouded College from Charles Sewell and Will Sliney on Image Comics on January 7th.
The Creeping Below by Brian Azzarello and Vanessa Del Rey, Boom Comics, March 17th.
Dick Tracy, 1941 from Chester Gould and Clover Press, January 28th.
Deadpool Wolverine, A Time for Strife by Benjamin Percy, Joshua Cassara, Robert Gill at Marvel Comics, February 10th.
Don't Forget Your Briefcase from Elliot Rahal and Philip Sevi at Mad Cave on January 7th.
Five Weapons by Jimmy Robinson at Image Comics on January 28th.
George Perez's The New Titans Artist Edition from Marv Wolfman and George Perez at Act 4 Image on July 1st.
Godzilla Heist by Van Jensen, Kelsey Ramsey, IDW, January 13th.
Hellboy Universe, The Secret Histories Volume 1 from Mike Mignola, John Arcudi, Lawrence Campbell, Christopher Mitten, and Dave Stewart at Dark Horse Comics on March 24th.
Jessica Jones, Blind Spot by Kelly Thompson, Matea De Lewis, and Marcio Takara, and Filippo Andrade, Marvel Comics, March 3rd.
Lavender Jack, Volume 1 from Dan Shikade, Jen Manley Lee at Dark Horse Comics on March 3rd.
The Legend Testers by Jordi Bernay, Graham Baker at Rebellion, January 14th.
Leo Rising from Archie Bongiovanni at Abrams on January 21st.
Locus, the Maggie and Hopi stories from Jaime Hernandez, Fantagraphics, January 21st.
Marvel Knights, The World to Come from Christopher Priest and Joe Quesada from Marvel Comics on June 2nd.
The Missionary from Ryan Stegman and Jason Howard at Distillery, February 24th.
My Gun is the Jury and Other Stories from Jack Davis, Wally Wood, Al Feldstein, Harvey Kurtzman, and Jack Mendelson at Fantagraphics on January 7th.
One World Under Doom by Ryan North and R.B. Silva at Marvel Comics, February 10th.
Quick Stops, Volume 3 from Kevin Smith, Ryan Gaja, John Sprengelmeyer, Mark Rahal, and Ahmad Rafat at Dark Horse on March 31st.
Runaways, Think of the Children by Rainbow Rowell and Elena Casagrande and Roberta Ingranata at Marvel Comics, February 10th.
Spectrum Deluxe Edition from Rick Quinn and Dave Chisholm at Mad Cave on January 28th.
Star Trek Lore War from Christopher Cantwell, Jackson Lansing, Colin Kelly, Ryan North, David Tinto, and Derek Charm, IDW, January 13th.
The Tin Can Society from Peter Warren, Francesco Mobili at Image Comics on January 28th.
Tex Arcanum from Christopher Monfetta, Miguel Martos, Dark Horse, March 10th.
Trinity, Daughter of Wonder Woman from Tom King and Balin Ortega at DC Comics on March 17th.
The Unchosen by David Marquez at Image Comics, January 7th.
Vanishing Point from Mark Russell Wando, Ryan Alexander Tanner, Alberto Ponticelli Jock at Mad Cave on January 21st.
Closing us out, we have Wolverines and Deadpools, Claws and Mercs by Cody Ziegler, Ryan North, Christos Gage, Roger Antonio, Javier Garon, Alan Robinson, Marvel Comics, March 3rd. And then we've got the final order cutoff coming up next week.
Final order cutoff for Monday, November 10th. Black Panther Intergalactic #1 from Victor Laval and Stefano Nessi at Marvel. Giant Size Criminal #1 from Ed Brubaker, Sean Phillips at Image. Exile from Eric Creek at Uncivilized. The Final Symphony, a Beethoven anthology from Brandon Montclair, Frank Marafino, and various artists at Z2. The Future Is, Volume 1 from Black Mountain from Fred Van Linty, Ennio Buffy, Mario D'Alessandro at Recca. Habitat #1 from Joshua Dysart, David Lapham, and Bill Sienkiewicz at Bad Idea. Mansect from Koa Shinichi, it's Uncivilized. Our Soot-Stained Heart from Joni Hogg and Stippen Morian at Mad Cave. Queen Kodiak from Christopher Greenslate. Riccardo Ficini at Maverick Mad Cave. A Quick and Easy Guide to Healthy Relationships from Mariah Rose Marie at Oni. Stray from Rio Kamio and Yu Takahara at Titan. And the Blood Brothers, or not and, because we got a couple more. The Blood Brothers Mother from Brian Azzarello and Eduardo Risso at Distillery. UFO Mushroom Invasion from Shirakawa Marina at Uncivilized. And Rack and Rune from Chris Capel and Alex Arizmendi from Maverick Mad Cave. Currently crowdfunding, we have Rigsby, Wisconsin, Volume 2, Burn It Down from S.E. Case at Iron Circus on Kickstarter through November 6th. Magaka, a Kaiju, and Omega From Juan Ponce and Learn Noise on Zoop through November 7th. Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, a storytelling game from Hunters Entertainment on Kickstarter through November 12th. The A1 Deadline Special, edited by Dave Elliott, with work from Steve Dillon, Brett Ewins, Gary Leach, Steve Pugh, Shaky Kane, Alan Martin, Jamie Hewlett, Ilya, Dave Gibbons, Rawld Marcelius, Chloe Maville, Allison Sampson, Rufus Dayglow, Glenn Fabry, Umar Dida, Keck W, Dan Whitehead, Kathy Kwan. I think that's actually just Kathy Kwan. Gloria Kiley, Mark Shea, Laura Martin, Eric Donovan, Evan Dorkin, Alice Pasquini, Matt Hardy, Peter Milligan, PJ Holden, Robin Jones, Lucy Sullivan, and Dave Elliott himself, and more on Kickstarter through November 12th. And now I get to
That's a
do it
lot.
again. Witching Season, a witch horror comic anthology, edited by Kat Calamia, Phil Falco, and friend of the podcast, Michelle Abinator, with work from Heather Antos, Alex Segura, Chrissy Williams, Tilly and Susan Bridges, David Bohr, Dan Parent, Stephanie Williams, Miranda Munt, Bailey Rosenlund, Paulina Ganacho, Philip Sevi, Jadzia Axelrod, Rye Hickman, Mark Abnett, Francis Stokes, Andrea Daly, Augusta Kanakis, Lauren Knight, Piper Whitaker, and more from Lifeline Comics on Kickstarter through November 13th. And Tom the Dancing Bug, a collection from Ruben Bolin at Clover Press on Kickstarter through November 20th, and How to Draw 2026 from Terry Moore at Abstract Studios on Kickstarter through November 28th.
I gotta say, 2026 might not be that bad if it's drawn by Terry Moore.
Eh. Three amazing books this week. I could have really cheated because uh, not only did the two Batman series enders satisfy quite well,
It's a whole heck of a lot of a
the
Batman.
Absolute Batman 2025 annual was fantastic. So I'm gonna lead off with Absolute Batman 2025 annual, Batman and Robin Year One number 12, and Batman the Last Halloween number 10. With work from God, I had to do this again. I'm going to need oxygen. Danny Warren Johnson, James Herron, Meredith McLaren, Mark Wade, Jeff Loeb, Chris Samney, Matteo Scalera at DC Comics. Also, the fact that there weren't a lot of new comics meant that I finally I read all of Money Shot Big Bang,
Ooh,
including number 5, which came out this week. And it continues to be excellent and funny and sexy and satirical. From Tim Seeley, Patton Oswalt, and Garth Graham at Vault Comics. And I think I've mentioned this before, but it seemed like a good week to throw it in again, particularly because chapter 18 wrapped up a story arc, and this looked like it was kind of like a one chapter interlude type thing
ooh,
that reminds you of kind of the premise of the series and has kind of some human moments. Harakazi Mound, Chapter 19, Obey the Rules from Togo Goto and Kenta Matsura, Shonen Jump / Viz. It's the ongoing high school baseball comic that I have been reading because
nice.
mangakas know that baseball has lots of drama and is worth writing
Oh
about.
yeah. That's the funny thing. It's like I don't I'd never seek out to watch a game of sports, but would I read sports comics? Heck yeah, that sounds fascinating. I've heard there's some really great baseball manga out there.
Well, and honestly, like if you read baseball manga and
Hmm.
like it, I think more than any of the other sports manga that I've read, like it
Hmm.
would make you more likely to enjoy watching a baseball game.
I,
Maybe
I
not
can
on
believe that.
TV,
I can believe that, yeah.
but like an actual baseball game.
Well, and that's the thing. I've always been able to follow the sports just because grew up in a sports-based household.
Right.
So it's not like I'm confused. It's just that I'm not
No, no,
entertained.
I understand, but I didn't
But
mean
you're
like
right. Yeah.
teaching the game. I mean like
Mm.
appreciating the game.
I see what you're
I
saying
mean,
there. Yeah.
all of the baseball manga that I have read have been really, really great expressing a lot of the nuances of
Mm,
baseball that make it
yeah, it is.
what it is. And in
Yeah.
some ways, that probably means that I should read more other sports manga because maybe I would wind up with a greater appreciation of their sports.
Hmm,
Maybe that's more how mangakas look at sports than it is the sport that I love. Who knows?
interesting.
There's certainly a lot of opportunities. So one of these days, maybe we'll make a study of it.
Yeah.
But
If we can find a comic about curling, I would be all over that.
so Phil, why don't you take a walk?
All right, I'm walking here. This is the honorable dissection mentions. These are, comics that I again just while we're thinking about the great responsibility of what are the books that made you want to dissect the form. These are more early ones as my full pick is more recent. First up, to continue the trend of putting a different Alan Moore book each week is the Bo Jeffrey saga with Stephen Parkhouse. I don't know where it originally was published, but I'm pretty sure you can get a complete edition from Fantagraphics these days. Um, this is here's the thing. This book, the Bo Jeffrey saga, it's weird. It's weird even by Alan Moore standards. It's
Top shelf
top shelf. There we go. Okay, so it
is I think where
okay.
you can get it right now.
Should have known. It Wikipedia said that Fantagraphics published it at least at some point.
Well,
Um,
that might mean that they were one of the original.
yeah, I think it has a bit of a sordid publishing history because I'm pretty sure pieces of it were created, far apart from each other. But it's a weird little book. It for some reason I can mentally mark it as like kind of a before and after I read it. It shifted my opinion of Alan Moore because I mean it's first of all it's probably the most humorous thing of his that I've read.
Have
Um,
you read Jack Be Quick?
no, I have not.
Okay.
Yeah, but which is not to say, I think after having read this, I found more of his humor works and started to see more of the humor in his works. And it's a really great book. It really is. It's one of those that from any other creator, it might be my favorite, but for him, it's like my fourth favorite, and it's still absolutely incredible. Then there is the Nightly News by Jonathan Hickman from Image Comics, his magnum opus of charts and graphs that was actually his very first work to get into the comic book industry. Not the very first, because he did a couple covers and other little things, but this was his breakout work. Um, it was a book that when I read it, I actually didn't really like it until I got to the end notes that were sort of commenting and pastiching and making fun of himself as he's doing it. And that kind of helped me understand the work a little better. So similarly with the first volume of Phonogram from Kieran Gillen, Jamie McKelvey, eventually Matt Wilson and Clayton Cowles. Um, that was another
Coles.
Coles, Coles, Clayton Coles. Thank you. I'll remember that one day. Um, that was another book. Rue Britannia was. I enjoyed it as I was reading it, but I enjoyed it even more once I got to the end notes that clarified the character David Cole's and by extension Kieran Gillen's opinions on music, sort of giving brief descriptions of the bands that he refers to with disdain or disgust. It's even another level of interesting in dissection in that I like it better in black and white than I do recolored, which is minor blasphemy. And then lastly, the book that almost took the main spot is Uber Invasion #7, which I refer to as the Flash issue, because Uber is a book that is World War II with superheroes instead of tanks for all the horrific glory that that entails. This is an issue where the Americans developed an alternate type of superhero that used super speed by means of slowing down time. And this single issue of five men with super speed trying to take down, the equivalent of Superman, and all they have are diamond tip knives. It's absolutely incredible. It's one of those where if Uber is never finished, I will still remember it fondly because this one issue was that damn good. It's quite possibly my favorite my single favorite comic about super speed as a concept. But yeah, from there, how's One Piece been lately, Tad?
Well, I was just before we get there, I was just gonna
Hmm.
say, like, impressive that you just took a walk of, I think, books that I own at least digital copies of all of.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't think I've read any of them.
Oh wow. I mean, the honestly,
So,
that's probably well, I probably flip Phonogram and Nightly News, but that's just about the order I recommend them too. Yeah. I mean, Bo
yeah,
Jeffries is short and it's yeah, it was probably the fastest I've gotten into an Alan Moore book as well. So I
all
can't
right.
recommend that one enough.
Yeah, yeah. No, I have it. It's been on my list for a while. I think I might even have that one physically as well. I can't remember. Um, I have a lot of comics, Phil.
I understand. I know how it is. I've got a handful of books behind me that I haven't read, you know?
Oh, uh, I am. I think I forgot to update the number here too. I think we're one of these days I'll actually go back and find out exactly how many weeks of One Piece race we have.
Right? That
But
reminds me, we should ask Tyler if he's kept reading One Piece or
yeah, we'll figure that at some point. He's been
not.
pretty busy.
I'm
I
sure.
did read another volume. So I'm 614 chapters in. We are now deep, deep under the sea
Ooh,
at at
you're saying there's a pirate submarine of some sort?
well, kind of. It's more they're able to coat their ship in a bubble, so it's their
Oh, that's
normal
fun.
ship.
Okay.
Um,
That's pretty that's actually
and
that's pretty good. I'm
and
gonna
we're
write
we're,
that
we're
down.
in like the town of the mermaids and mermen and fishmen. Fishman Island, I think, is what it's called.
That's pretty
Yeah.
funny.
Um. So yeah. Uh. More fun and hilarity and drama ensued, and I enjoyed myself. I
Nice.
read a volume last night. So
Awesome.
614 chapters in, only 500 some odd to go.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, not just really, you're just over halfway?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm not
Goodness.
even let me take
I
a quick
swear last
look.
I checked you were I don't know, but it while Tad's
Let me
looking
take
that
it.
up.
Well, but remember, it's
Uh-huh.
not done.
I know. I
So
know.
like every week a
You
new
do.
chapter comes out.
You have to read more than a chapter a week to finish it, you know. I mean,
So yeah, they're up to 1163
okay,
as
okay.
of
So you are
October 26th,
just over halfway. Gotcha.
with the next chapter coming out in 2 days.
Goodness. It really is. I know you guys started out saying One Piece race, but it really is the One Piece marathon.
Oh yeah, marathons are also races.
That's a good point. Touche. Um, to my dismay, I have failed to actually read manga for another week, but in
So this is sad because I
I
read a
know.
volume of Nana this week.
Nana? Okay.
I got up to date on Harakazi Mound.
Right? Oh my gosh. So this is
So,
and this is where
so I like did your job and read other manga too,
I know
and read a volume of
Tad
One Piece.
carrying this podcast single-handedly
Eh,
all the way up a
eh.
mountain. But on Hoopla at the end of the month, I went in a rush of using up all of my borrows and checked out the first 6 or 7 volumes of Mob Psycho 100, which
Okay.
I've heard is great.
I've heard good things about, but I
I've heard good
haven't
things.
read any.
I'll investigate. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
I will be sure to let you know of at least one volume. I'm planning to institute my reading schedule Manga Mondays, where I try to read a full volume of manga every Monday.
There you go. There you go. So let's talk about comics that I think we both chose ones that like it would have been easy to go with things like understanding comics
Yeah, I almost
or
picked that.
whatnot. And I think
Yeah.
we both went a different way and went with books that made us think about the form and
Hmm.
dissect the form.
Hmm.
I went with one that I don't think enough people have read.
Yeah, I've
Um,
heard of that, but I haven't read it myself, and I should.
it's actually Elsa Chartier's debut.
Oh, okay.
She and Pyrrhic initially did it on French Kickstarter.
Hmm.
Um,
Le Kickstart.
Infinite Loop. Infinite Loop is a it's a time travel book. It's an adventure. It's got some romance, but more than anything, it has one of the absolute masters of comic storytelling, who is also can't be described as anything other than a prodigy because
Mm,
like she taught herself in her
wow.
20s by reading a lot of comics and absorbing,
That's incredible.
I mean, hearing her talk about how she learned to do comics, and for that matter, when I talked to her, one of the things she told me was that like by the time she was doing November, she was planning things out a lot and thinking
Hmm.
about page layouts, etc., a lot.
Hmm.
Whereas this book, she did a lot from her gut.
Okay.
And I'm sitting there going, like, that's crazy to me, Elsa, because that means your gut is
Right.
totally ridiculous when it comes to comic storytelling. I mean, just I'm flipping through it. Look at the panel usage. Look at, I mean,
I mean,
Pyrrhic did the lettering, but I'm
oh
pretty
wow.
certain she did the sound effects.
Mm-hmm.
She colored it. I mean, look at
Oh.
this building like coming apart. Uh, she already like in her first work is fantastic at using all aspects of different panel shapes, different effect shapes, charts. I
Hmm.
mean, you were talking,
I did.
will you survive the T-Rex? Is this your first time? Yes. Run. No. Slide between its legs.
Oh wow.
I
Oh,
know
oh,
Jurassic Park like the back of my hand.
is it
Teddy
is it
Freeze?
is it a flow chart? Is
It
that it?
is.
Oh, I love those. That's so awesome.
Um,
Is it Benjamin Dewey has done a few of those online that are pretty great? I think it's
right.
Benjamin Dewey. Let me look that up real quick.
But so like I mean we've got the Escher influence, but used for storytelling effect.
I love
You
Escher so
know,
much. That's a
um,
childhood mind
inset
blower.
panel. I mean, like she effort. I mean, Elsa has always also been like one of the best, and this I attribute to like having come up as she was an actress
Oh
before
wow.
she was a cartoonist. Um, so I attribute it to um that, but like she's always been like and continues to be like known for and deservedly so
Hmm.
the acting of her characters. And that
Mm,
comes through in the first one too. Facial
wow.
expressions, body language, you name it, like
Yeah.
all of it's telling stories.
That
But
that she's
the fact that she I mean look at this page where like the different versions of herself are talking. I mean, just
I can't see your pages.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I forgot to switch my share.
I'm having to imagine this. I wrote it down. I love November. I love Elsa Chardier's work. I'm definitely going to go buy this. This is going to be an early Christmas present to myself because that, as soon as you said a time travel story as drawn by Elsa Chardier, I was in. And all of this that you're mentioning, the fact that she's self-taught, like that is just, it, I am
And in a
simultaneously,
relatively short amount of time.
I am simultaneously blown away and hopeful of, oh, so you're saying
I
it is possible.
I mean essentially Pyrrhic decided that he wanted to write comics, so she decided to learn to draw them.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, no, this is her first book.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, Tad is showing me this. There's
This is their
so many
Kickstarted book.
incredible pages. I would not have believed that this is a first time comic
Yeah, yeah.
artist, especially one who learned to draw for this book.
I mean, she said that it wasn't that she did no drawing
Sure,
before
sure.
that, but she certainly hadn't done like comic work.
Right, right. And comics are such a different beast compared to illustration and artwork in general, which is something that I think about quite often.
But I mean, just look at all of the different.
Oh
Her
yeah.
timing is.
Yeah. Oh my
I mean,
goodness.
like I actually made a last minute decision not to reread this to talk about it
Oh,
because
okay.
because I wanted to do what I'm doing here, where I'm flipping through it and just
Yeah.
remembering the visuals.
Hmm.
Because the written story itself, it was okay. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
What made this was not just the visuals, but the fact
Hmm.
that like the visual storytelling aspect of it
Oh yeah. Yeah.
was
There's a bunch of non-traditional layouts. There's so much playing with form in this book. Also, I mean, her style looks, it's odd in that it's definitely like an earlier form of her style, but so much of it is still visible. It's still like in place. Like so
Mhm.
it's wild how much she's grown,
Well, and it's
but
also
how good
like
she started from.
yeah, I mean, and like you can tell how much she loves Darwin Cook,
Hmm.
but you can also tell how much she just like threw herself into the medium.
Oh yeah. There is a
I mean,
page
look at
here.
the
It is like a twisting
road,
highway swirl. Yeah.
almost like a whirlpool of a highway.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm seeing
uh,
there are multiple flow charts in this, which is pretty
mhm.
great.
Well, because one of the, I mean, with the time travel, there's like a
Hmm.
robot that helps them decision.
Mm.
You know, Teddy
Be careful of that decision robot.
um, helps them figure out what things will.
Right.
This is her reading a book.
Mm.
I mean, just like the level of influence, the level of originality. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to call any of it original, except putting it all together. I mean,
What do you
actually,
mean by that?
well, because like as I look at any of the specific stuff, it's like, oh, I could probably find a comic where this was done before, but finding the comic where this and that and this were all done on the same page, that's a
Mm.
whole different thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is in itself a wholly original work, but I don't know if she added anything to the lexicon in it.
Mm.
Which is one of the reasons why it's such a great deconstruction. It's somebody
Hmm.
who had just introduced themselves to the lexicon and like wholly absorbed it
Yeah. I
and
mean,
spit it back out. Charlie
yeah.
Adler did a cover. Apparently,
Hmm.
he was quite like when they were starting. They saw he was a name that she'd come across that looked like. So they went to a convention in England, and
Oh,
she
wow.
in very Elsa fashion, went up and introduced herself and asked for advice.
Wow. Yeah. Talk about someone who would have a hell of a lot of advice for you. And that's where, I mean,
But yeah,
looking at this, that's the thing is that, I mean, so you talk about, adding things to the lexicon. I mean, I guess I'm I'm trying to
I mean,
formulate an opinion on that in
this
real
is what I'll
time.
say is
Uh-huh.
look at this page here, which I've never
Yeah.
seen anything like it
Yeah.
until
It's pretty wild.
the book that you're talking about.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the book that I'm talking about. You want me to mention that
So
one
in
now?
that sense, yeah, no, we'll
Yeah.
pass off to you.
Okay.
In that sense, like I think the way she was able to mash things together.
Hmm.
I mean, I've definitely seen other book. I mean, because here's the thing. I've
Hmm.
seen other books where the motion is changed by having multiple characters.
Uh-huh.
I've seen other books where a sense of tension is shown by the vanishing points and by the twisting. Like,
Hmm.
again, what she's adding is, oh, you can tell stories using tons of this shit.
Yeah. This is overlapping techniques on overlapping techniques.
Right.
Like,
You can do the everything everywhere all at once comic.
hmm hmm
And mind you, this is before everything everywhere all at once.
yep, yep. What year did this come out?
Give me a second.
Oof. And this is where a quick preview while Tad's looking up the year
Yeah,
that
take
Infinite
over
Loop came out.
because
Alrighty, so this is the book that I picked is a much more recent one, but one that I have been adoring from a
2015.
deconstructor. 2015, awesome. Yeah, that is holy shit. That no, I got to pick that up. But no, the one
And it drives me nuts that like and it shows
that is a that rating needs to be at least a
well,
full
I
star
mean
higher. It's
like
3.4. That's
on good well, and what I'm
from
going to
just
say
flipping through.
is it shows um because honestly, I bet you if I'd read this before I started to really pick up the visual lexicon the way I
hmm
have,
hmm
I would have had it more as a 4-star book, not necessarily a 3-star book,
Yeah.
because like
And
no
again,
offense to her partner,
uh-huh.
Elsa did the heavy lifting.
Oh yeah. This is where my opinion on comics has shifted over time that
Right.
the artist always does the heavy lifting. She did even more of the heavy lifting than usual.
Um, I don't know if I quite agree that the artist always does the heavy lifting. It depends a lot on what kind of direction they get from their director, stage manager.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
they're
I
definitely the director of photography,
yes.
but sometimes they're also the director.
Yes. And so I
I'm
guess what I
pretty certain in this book she was the director. They're always the
right.
director of photography and the actors.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. For the
You
and
know,
so as much as
whereas
I
I mean to put it in like movie terms, which
yeah.
is it's it, it it doesn't do it justice, but it's terms that more people understand.
Yeah, that's
Like
true.
the way that a book always
Uh-huh.
is the writer is the screenwriter
hmm
and the artist is the director of photography
hmm
and the set designer and the costume designer
hmm
and the actors.
hmm
And in that sense, they are likely doing the heavy lifting. However, sometimes the writer is also the director
Yes.
and the film editor
hmm
and involved heavily in costume and set design. And
Absolutely.
then it starts to become
And I
I
guess
mean, and what one of the ways you can tell this is by looking at like which and you can't tell it completely, but like the reason why I won't necessarily, even though Tom will disagree with me,
hmm
say that Tom's artists do the heavy lifting
hmm
is no matter who Tom King is working with, the comics wind up being fantastic. And that's not true of all of the artists that he works with when they're working with other people.
that's a good point. The I guess what I would say where my head's coming from with it is that when I say that the artist always does the heavy lifting, I say that because I think that drawing a book, regardless of the amount of
Oh, they're definitely the
instruction,
more labor intensive.
yes, yes. And so
Yes.
so I guess what I would
So
mean is that
if we think of heavy
yes,
lifting
that's
as labor intensive, then yes, the artist is
yes.
always the one doing the heavy lifting.
And that was where I was coming from. I guess the way I
Uh,
would phrase is that sometimes like the writer can also do heavy lifting.
right.
Alan Moore clearly does in his scripts. Plenty of writers, like you said, Tom King, Kieran Gillen, so many good writers do
I
heavy
mean,
lifting
in
as
terms of
well.
work, I don't know that Tom King always does. He seems to have just the knack for writing the script that,
And that's what I mean is that
and
modern
Bendis too,
modern scripts are
has
more
the knack
sparse.
well, but the knack for writing the right script for their particular artists.
That is supposedly the skill of the medium for writers.
Right.
The,
Um,
the goal is to write the best script for the artist on hand, as opposed to
I mean,
the best script period.
Tom will call his superpower being able to see the comic in his head as the artist will draw it.
Interesting. I yearn for
Yeah.
that
So
experience.
while he's writing,
Yeah.
he has a really good idea of what it's going to look like.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I that sounds like a great time. I think
but
I have
yeah,
to.
take this into assorted crisis
I did
events
right,
because
and I don't know if I mentioned it, but Assorted Crisis Events is my pick. It's an absolutely phenomenal, incredible book. The basic story pitch is, time is having a crisis. This is some sort of
it is
superhero
kind of funny that we both picked
time travel, time related, not time travel, but
time
time.
related.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too. But
Yeah.
so it's
Well,
the
I mean,
idea of.
I think it actually one of the reasons why so much of the world like
Mhm.
disdains time travel stories and even thinks less of comics because of the number of time travel stories, I think is because it's so much harder to do them in other mediums.
Yeah, it is. Well, not only that, but like that, and that's. I mean, that's an interesting point. I would love to do a like time travel comic roundup of some sort because
Oh
you're
yeah,
right.
no, it's definitely one of those things that's been kicked around.
Time in comics is a different beast entirely.
Yes, it
Um,
is.
it is uh, you know, time is seen as the page as opposed to the time you spend on the page. And nowhere has that been more apparent to me this year than Assorted Crisis Events. I mentioned before a couple times that I've been attempting to read this book as non-traditionally as possible. What I mean by that is that, and this started with the first issue. In the last, I think, 2 or 3 pages, there was a point where if you read the whole page normally, the character, dies, and then something different happens on the next page. But if you read across the page, across the whole page at once, the experience and the story shifts and changes. And so this
Hmm.
this book brings out what I would call creative reading. And I think that creative reading is something that comics lend themselves to so much more than any other medium that I've come across, except maybe video games.
Yeah.
But the idea that the book is the book in front of you and you can read it differently. The easiest way is reading issues out of order.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, I always love when one of the complaints that people who don't read a lot of comics will have is
Mhm.
I
My
don't know
mom used
how
to
to
say
read
that.
them or which
Yeah,
order to read them and like
there's no wrong answer.
well, I mean, first there's no wrong answer, but second, I'll say if something doesn't feel right, then the creator has failed. That just means
That's
that
a that's a good
like a
point. Yeah.
mediocre movie or a
Hmm.
mediocre prose book, it's a mediocre comic,
Yes,
or
and
at
I've seen
least mediocre from your perspective.
or a
Uh,
lettering error, something like that. But
right.
it happens.
Um, but a brilliant comic, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. And the fact is that like an assorted crisis events
Right.
is the book that has lent itself probably most strongly to that creative reading aspect
Hmm.
of where I mean the whole book is about warping the characters' experiences of time, and so the more it can warp the reader's experience of time, it feels like the book is happening to you. Um, it's the reason why I picked it. It's funny because that I picked this for dissection because the reason why it landed in my my full pick for dissection as opposed to just an honorable mention is I forgot to include it in the honorable mentions for mind blowers because this book is regularly issue by issue
It is.
mind blowing.
It is. I was
And
so happy when it got extended.
yes, oh,
Um,
I didn't realize it had a
it was
chance to not be
originally going to be
extended.
no, it was
Oh,
originally only supposed to be 5 issues.
oh, I'm so glad they're still
But it
going.
did so well
Yeah.
that that they were able to.
Oh, I
to
would
do
love
more.
as many issues of this as they can make. And so the other little piece. So here's the thing. Here's part of why I love this comic so much is that, and this is going to get a little spiritual, a little mystical, but um, I believe that stories are alive in the sense that they are collections of thoughts inhabited by people. It's complicated, it's odd, but this concept, the concept of a superhero event crisis happening to regular everyday people, I feel like I've been visited by that story. It's been a note. I haven't worked on a book like that, but I've had the desire to work on a book like that. The fact that this book came out and it's even better than anything I could have dreamed of. It's like it feels like a gift to me personally. Every issue I'm absolutely loving and adoring because these are the exact things that tickle my brain in the exact way that I'm like, the one of the earliest examples of this that I felt was the really old Image series, The Darkness, if you've heard of that one. It's
I
about
know it. I
yeah,
haven't
it's
read it.
about a hitman who gets the power of like living shadows. It's
Right.
some it's some it was the kind of thing I read it in high school and the thought was, well, I could have created this. I've gotten really close a few times and maybe I could have done it better even. For assorted crisis events, no, absolutely not. This is better than anything I could have done, and I'm loving every second of it. And again, it is to me, it's easily my book of the year. I think it has beaten out Power Fantasy, unless the last two issues of Power Fantasy are head and shoulders crazier. If they had ended their arc 3 this year, that probably would have stayed it. But I mean, yeah, assorted crisis events with a bullet. It's so good. It's so so good. It's quite literally, despite the fact that you also read the series and you also love the series, it is still my answer for the book of yeah. If there's your typical ending question of if there's something that you love that not enough people around you know about it, talk
Well,
about
we're
it.
gonna we're gonna have to find an excuse to talk about it more.
Heck yeah.
Um, Particularly because as we move into three books, we hope will be spectacular.
Hmm.
Uh, t- Top of my list
Yep.
is Assorted Crisis Events number
Oh yeah.
6 from Dennis Camp and Eric Sawatsky at Image,
It's almost like we
followed
planned
by,
it.
nope, because you hadn't put your stuff in yet.
Nope.
Uh, uh, Followed by Space Scouts number 1 from Matt Kint and David Rubin at Dark Horse, and this is a fitting third book too. And I was late to the Ice Cream Man game. I have a lot
Oh
of
yeah.
catch up to do. I read the first trade yesterday, but otherwise all I've read is they recently did an issue that was all one-page stories written by other people,
Hmm.
or most of them written by other people. Um, and this month's issue, Ice Cream Man, the Mortal Coil Shuffle, is actually a deck of cards
Yeah, I'm gonna need to
with
pick this
the
up too.
story.
Yeah.
Um, so
This concept is
yeah,
again, it
I mean,
feels like it's targeting me
right.
specifically.
I mean, this is well, like I feel like what kicked it off in the mainstream, and like this is the stuff that we've seen in Raw magazine and in
Hmm.
all sorts of Indian underground comics for years. We're just completely fucking with the medium,
Oh
doing
yeah.
weird stuff and seeing how boundaries can be pushed. But I feel like in the mainstream, it was kicked off with Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo's one panel issue of Nightwing, where the whole thing
Oh,
was one continuous panel.
so real quick, Mike Allred did that first with Madman.
I believe it. I didn't say they'd done something
I know.
original. I said
I know.
I said that it kicked off this current era
That's a good.
of
Yeah, I can see.
and Madman also wasn't mainstream.
You're right. You're right. That's a good point. It's a good point.
It
It's a good point.
it kicked off this current era of people doing really weird experimental storytelling as part of Wednesday Warrior type comics.
Hmm. I think, and that's the thing is, I think there's always been pieces of that, but you're right.
Oh, absolutely,
I
because
do think it's more escalated now.
with every generation of comics, um, they're more being made by people who grew up and loved comics,
Hmm.
who are building off of things. I mean, this goes back to the discussion that we had briefly about like
Hmm.
Watchmen owes so much to Love and Rockets
Right,
visually.
right. Yeah. That
Um,
I do think it is more visual now because a good like 10, 15 years ago, the hot thing for people to mess with was ciphers.
right.
There were a lot of series that came out that
There's a
use
lot of that going on
ciphertext.
right now too.
Still, yeah, yeah.
Um, but and really, so much of this like was happening in newspaper comics in the teens and 20s.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like a lot of this stuff isn't new. It goes through phases,
Hmm.
but where a lot of where a comic is a deck of cards.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, for that matter, sure, the one page story thing feels new, but it's not
Hmm.
even new for my lifetime. And with superhero comics, the
Yeah.
I think it was Matt Fraction's last issue of I think it was Matt Fraction, maybe Mark Millar.
Mm. Of which
What
series?
I want to say the young adult Superman series.
Oh, My Adventures of Superman?
No, no,
Or
no,
no, not
that's
that.
new.
My
Uh,
or the
um,
Adventures of Superman or something. I think I heard
that
about that.
sounds right.
Yeah, I do know that Mark Millar had written some like all ages Superman stuff that I heard
Right.
was pretty good, but I haven't read any of.
Um, 22 stories in a single bound. So it was Mark
Oh,
Millar,
okay.
a collection of one-page stories. So
Uh-huh.
like again,
Hmm.
not new, but between Assorted Crisis Event being a Wednesday image type book,
Oh yeah.
between, you know, I mean, Ice Cream Man is a Wednesday image type book.
Hmm.
Um, like the one panel comic wasn't the only crazy limitation slash conceit
In
that
Nightwing, yeah.
Nightwing did.
I
You
think I've
know,
heard them doing a few more.
right? I mean, it's like more and more. It feels like you're seeing Matt Madden type constraints
Hmm.
being put on superhero comics.
Yeah, and then that
You
even goes
know.
back to the month in the early 2000s where Marvel did all silent issues for a month.
Hmm. Hmm.
Where the very famous New X-Men one, where we learn about Cassandra Nova, or I don't even think
Right.
Cassandra Nova's her
Right.
name or
So I
mentioned. But
mean,
anyway.
what I mean, I love two things about that. First,
Hmm.
it makes for some just great comics. But second, um, the the more this sort of thing is done, the more likely it is to uh particularly readers that have good comic shops um
Hmm.
uh, push readers into other comics.
Heck yeah.
I mean, like you were able to say that Mike Allred did that before. I
Hmm.
mean, none of the things that I'm talking about haven't been done. I'd have to think about it to figure out a card story again, but I know I've
Yeah.
seen them on tables.
It
Okay.
some might
I've
even
seen
say
I've
Tarot
seen
is the oldest card
well,
story.
yeah, but I've seen like Infinite Loop
Yeah.
comics. I've
Yeah.
seen comics done as like the thing that all the girls had when we were in elementary school
Oh,
where
the folding fortune teller thing.
right.
That's so, I
I've
want
seen
to see one of
comics
those.
done
That's so
that
cool.
way. I mean, comics are a nearly infinitely malleable
Right. In Floating World, when I was in Portland, they had sculpture comics. They had
hmm
a little diagram of sculpture. That was so incredible too.
hmm
Yeah.
hmm So like that's why I get excited anytime there's something crazy happening in mainstream comics
Hmm.
because
That's true.
I
That
mean,
is true.
A, it just elevates the medium in general, but it also makes it that much more likely that um, people will stretch out of the mainstream to go, oh,
Oh yeah.
right.
I
Um,
that's another reason why I love comics so
right.
much.
Quickly, a couple of things I know are spectacular. Death Dog #1 from Bryce Ingman and Alan Robinson at Ahoy. I did confirm with Bryce that this was not a purposeful tribute to my dog Potato, but he agrees that it is a wonderful accidental tribute to my dog Potato. So everybody should read Death Dog #1. Um, Both the comic and his prose story at the end could equally be a tribute to my dog Potato, even though there's no dogs in it. Just throwing
Hmm.
that out there. Um,
Hmm.
Also out this week are a couple of fantastic books from Fantagraphics. The Past is a Grotesque Animal, for a collection of previous mini comics and stories, unpublished, published, unpublished, etc., from Tommy Parrish, and Shadows of the Sea, the new Kathy Malkasian novel. Um, I'll also give quick shout outs to podcast guests with their collections finally coming out. Golden Rage, Volume 2, Mother Knows Best. We've talked to Chrissy Williams and Lauren Knight twice, Sophie Dodgson once. Huge Detective by Adam Rose and Magenta King. We've talked to the two of them once and Adam Rose twice. Um, both of those were ones where we talked to them at the beginning and at the end, which is always fun. Check out those interviews, but definitely, if you haven't read them, check out those collections. Um, a lot of good graphic novels out this week. I'm not going to get into them. They might go up at the website if I manage to start updating notes, or Phil starts finding time, or one of these days we'll start having an updated blog, as well as just lots and lots of episodes. Um, but yeah, pretty good week in other comics. We got Cheetah and Cheshire, Rob the Justice League #4, Birds of Prey #27, Fractions Batman #3, Planet Death
Battle thing.
#2, uh, Cantwell's Star Trek Red Shirts #4, which might have also uh, uh, inspired his Halloween costume.
Oh, nice.
R. Crumb returns with Tales of Paranoia. Mark Russell's finishing up Vanishing Point with issue 6, and Chip Zdarsky and Rachel Stott have White House Robot #2. Oh, and totally forgot. Erica Henderson's Harley and
Oh
Ivy
yeah.
Life and Crimes #1 is this week.
Is that her writing
So,
debut, or did she do short
I
stories
think
before?
she's done some writing too,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
it's definitely one of the bigger things where she's doing everything.
Yes. Yeah. It looks
So
pretty
yeah,
good.
just a really good week in comics.
Yeah.
So I guess I took Golden Rage away from you. I didn't
That's
notice it
okay.
was on yours.
That's all right. That's why I had, that's
So
why
Phil,
it's,
what do you got in your giant size trade waiter graphic novel picks slash I'm adding shit because I'm Phil
yep.
and I don't follow the rules?
Hey, well, so first of all, I am following the rules because I pushed it to 3 because
That's true.
I was going
That's
to leave
true.
it at 2.
You,
So
you
thankfully our rules are both
okay.
flexible and
Okay.
contradictory.
Okay.
But I'm also excited for Sort of Crisis Events, and I love the book so much I
No.
can't not tell the
Absolutely.
world about it
Absolutely.
for a third time
I
this
like to fuck
episode.
with you, man.
I know,
You're
I
still the new
appreciate it.
guy. The
I
hazing period
am.
is not over.
I am a lifelong little brother, and I am used to it by now.
The hazing period is not over.
The hazing
Tyler did
period.
almost 4 years.
There
You're
we
like
go.
4 months in.
The hazing will continue until morale improves. Um, then
Morale is down.
no, that's sorry, it's a work joke. If we usually
Oh,
say
I know.
the beat
I know.
anyway. The Golden Rage Volume 2 is incredible. If you haven't read it, pick up that trade. Go ahead and watch Golden Girls meets Battle Royale. And then this is a book that has been on my radar that I didn't realize was finally out in trade. It's The Slasher's Apprentice from Justin Richards and Val Halverson or Haverson at
Haverson.
Mad Cave. It's a book about a serial killer coming of age, queer story. Horror looks absolutely incredible. I love Haverson's art. He is a badass. So yeah, go pick that up. It's another good one.
All right, that's episode 208 in the books. We will see you after the next page.